So here we are. Good evening, everybody. It's about 3 minutes past 9 on, what is it, the 23rd of September, 2019. Brand new week, Monday night. As always, anything could happen this week. Put a post out today and I put it out every single week, don't I? Or I send everyone an email on the email list to say, listen, the next 5 days, anything could happen in your life and your career. It just takes one phone call, one message, one tweet, one email. Just one point of connection can change your life and your career. So let's hope for all of us, this week is the week. Got a really interesting topic to talk about tonight. Glyn Jelly, my accountant, is in the house again. He comes on here for a little bit of promo. Glyn's the best accountant for actors in the land. If you need an accountant, Summit Accountants, Media City, tell him I sent you. He's a good lad. All right, Glyn, good evening. Tony's just joined from Chicago as well. Yeah, we're talking all about something that's been relevant in my own life recently. I've noticed creeping in again. Normally I'm very good at keeping it at bay, but something that I've had a lot of emails about as well, probably more than anything. To be honest, it's really like the core issue with all of us, isn't it? And that's fear of something. And it's different for most of us, you know, although a lot of it is generally always the thing that stops people from doing what they want is fear of judgment, fear of opinions of other people. But fear of something is holding you back in your life right now, in your career, out your career, in your relationships, in your physicality, your spirituality, your emotional mastery, whatever, any area of your life. There is something, I promise you right now, that you are not doing and you are not pursuing for fear of some outcome that you are making up in your head that will probably never happen. And how do I know that? Because I am human too, and I have noticed this creeping into my life in two areas really recently, two things that I haven't been going for. One of them actually for many, many years was something, I'll talk about it in a bit, but writing something, you know, when you're an actor, you're like, oh, I'm an actor, but I'm not really a writer. Should I write my own stuff? And I'm all about creating your own content. I put a shed load of content out all the time. But I started writing something 8 years ago. I thought it was really good. And then I just put it on the shelf and didn't touch it for 8 years. And now, recently I've picked that up again. I know it was fear that was stopping me from going for that, though. Fear of all kinds of things. Just fear of, I'm going to put so much time into this. What if it doesn't come off? Oh, this is going to cost money if I decide to make it myself. What if it doesn't work? What if people don't like it? What if it's a waste of time? All these things. I'm like, you know what? It's just bullshit, isn't it? It's just stopping me from exploring a potentially, you know, fantastic opportunity that I've seen work for so many other people. I've seen it literally take other people to the top of this industry. And they weren't born writers. They were also just creatives, just actors, you know, who would equally have that imposter syndrome about whether they should start writing their own thing or not. So that was one area for me. And I just had loads of emails from people wanting to do stuff, but they're just not allowing themselves to do it. So we're going to be talking about, I'm going to share my experience, just 5 things tonight that I think you can use, 5 little tips, strategies, things to look at in your life, ultimately to enable you to get to a place where you just go, F this, I'm just going to do it anyway. And it's not like I'm just going to do it anyway, stick my fingers in my ears and just ignore everybody. And, you know, I'm not going to think about it in a good, you know, strategic way. This is kind of like, right, I need to look at this, have a look at, you know, what exactly it is that's, you know, I'm afraid of, and then push through that. So we're going to be talking about that. So I'm going to get a presentation up in a minute. I'm going to walk through that. I'm just going to check in. Let's see what people are doing. Gary's here. Let's have a look. Who else is here? God, everybody's just joined on. Glyn says, I come to listen, not for promo. Your work is great. Thanks, Glyn. So you get good work and promo as well. Tony says, you've been reading my diary again, haven't you? So is this you, Tony? Mate, it's just because this is all of us. I'm not going to sit here. This is one thing I never, ever want anyone who watches these broadcasts or gets involved with any of the podcasts and that's on this or any of the work that I do. I'm never going to sit here. Like, you know what? You get quite a lot of people in the personal development space who do sit there and it's all kind of like, oh, as if they're freaking untouchable and they're kind of like, I know it all. I'm invincible. Bullshit, right? If you're a human being, I promise you, fear will never, ever, ever leave your life. It's always going to be there in one shape or another. So I'm never going to sit here doing these broadcasts telling everybody else what to do in their lives and how they should live a life that's going to make them happy and shit. And pretend that I'm always like in an amazing place and dead happy and everything's perfect in my life, because it's just not. It's just completely unrealistic to think that. I feel I've got a real good hold on a lot of things, but I also am aware that if I don't focus on these main pillars that can really screw you up, like fear, they'll equally creep back into my life like they creep into everybody's life, because we're all human beings, and the difference between me and any single other person watching this broadcast right now, genetically, like on a DNA level, is less than 1%. We're all so similar. So to think that other people, other human beings don't feel these things is just ridiculous. So I can be sharing with you what works for me tonight. Linda says, a director. What's this? I'll be working with in the Middle East at the end of September. Come home mid-November. Nice, Linda. Interesting. Anyone got any exciting news to report before we crack on? Has anything happened, for any of you guys today that's been a surprise, or a job coming or anything? Who's been in hospital? Claire says, hope you're feeling better. Saw your Instagram post in the hospital. Who's been in hospital? Hope you're better, whoever's been in hospital. And Bobby's now here from Ireland, and Jenny is here as well. So I'm going to pull this broadcast presentation up. We're going to go through this, and I've got a video to play at the end for you as well, that someone I massively respect put out today, and that's definitely going to tie in with what we're talking about. So let me bring up this PDF. You should be seeing this. I've got a bit salty tonight, and I've put a swear word in the title. I used to do this quite a lot, and then I backed off, realising that, it doesn't resonate with everybody, but I thought, no, you know what? Because it's personal to me tonight as well, I feel like I need to motivate myself. I'm doing this tonight, to be honest with you, as much as like to help you guys. It's counselling for me. This is 5 ways to F fear, I won't swear, and do it anyway. There's a great book by Susan Jefferson called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I'm just taking it up a level. It's called Fuck the fear and do it anyway. Kerry's here. How you doing? Kerry says she's been putting something off for ages, but finally booked 2 scenes with Chris Stone. Okay, for your show reel. Nice one. That's something that people will put off because they have a fear of failure around performance. Or what if I spend all this money and I don't bring my A game? And what if I'm not good on the day? What if people don't like the scenes that have been written for me? What if it doesn't look good? All this fear. It's bullshit. We're gonna get you through that tonight. If I'm frightened to do something, says Janet, I ask myself, am I more scared of not doing it? By that I mean missing an opportunity, missing an experience, etc. Yeah, one great way to look at it. Still freaking hard though, isn't it? Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Even when you know all this shit is still difficult, but you just need to remind yourself of stuff. And ultimately, again, realise that you're going to die one day, so none of it actually matters, to be honest with you. Might sound a bit morbid, but it's just the truth, isn't it? So fear. Because for those listening on the audio experience on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher, shout out to you. I'm going to read this presentation to you. If you want to get hold of the slides that I am using, you'll find a link to where you can download them in the show notes of this podcast. Or if you're watching on YouTube right now, you'll find a link to these slides where you can download them as a PDF in the description of this video. So it starts off, and I put there, fear is killing your potential. And it was completely killing my potential around multiple things recently, and I've just been made aware of it, basically. Genuinely, I put there, I know there are things that you'd like to do in your life right now, which you aren't doing because of fear. How do I know that? Because I've noticed it in my own life recently, and we're all human, right? So how can we F fear and do those things anyway? So we're going to go through 5 things that I have been through this week. Last week, actually. It's only Monday, isn't it? To help me kind of put some of this to bed. And I've still not got a complete handle on it, but this is hopefully going to help you guys. 1, right? This is the biggest hurdle, and I've never been good at this, if I'm honest with you. Accepting that it is actually fear that is holding you back. Accept that fear is actually holding you back, right? This is really difficult. And particularly because I'm super stubborn as well, right? I never like to think that kind of I'm strong, I'm not weak. No, I'd never be afraid of anything. No, just be honest. There's loads of things I'm afraid of. I don't care if you can bench press 150 kilograms. That would mean you're very, very strong. Or if you have 150 million pound in the bank, right? Fear isn't going away. It's always going to be in your life. So let's use it positively. How can we use it positively? Good evening, Steve. Thanks for joining the broadcast, mate. Now, fear, this is a big, big thing, right? Fear likes to dress itself up as practicality. You'll have heard me say this loads of times, right? And you've got to be honest with yourself. When you are facing a roadblock in any part of your life, whether it is in your acting career, out your acting career, in your physicality, maybe it's I really want to get in shape, but I haven't got time. have you really not got time? Or is fear dressing itself up as practicality? Are you just bullshitting yourself because you're afraid? If you don't have the body you want and you're not body confident, are you telling yourself you don't have time to go and work out in the gym? Because actually that's a lot easier on you than it is by saying, I'm really scared to walk into the gym and people look at me because I'm not in the best shape I would like to be in. I'm going to be self-conscious when I walk in there. Maybe there'll be guys. I had this when I started working out maybe like 12 years ago or something like that. And I remember it's not that I wasn't in shape. I didn't have a shape. I just had like a small boy's body. Like I was like 24, looked like a child. And I remember walking into the gym and seeing all of the guys with the big arms, like working out together in the weights area. It's intimidating as shit. You walk in there and you go, oh God, right, I'll probably stay out of there. I'll just stay on the machines. I'm just going to stay on the machines. I'll go on the exercise bike. I'll do a bit of running. And then I was like, well, actually, that's never going to get me to a point where I'm going to be happy with my physicality because I need to, like develop muscles in my body. I'm going to have to go into that zone where those guys are working out and just face that fear of looking like a dickhead, looking like I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. You're picking up weights that are too heavy for me, that are too light for me, that my form's terrible. I don't know what exercises to do. But you've got to get to that point. Now, I could have easily bullshitted myself into saying, no, I'm not afraid. Just it's not practical right now. You know what? I haven't got time to work out. No, you know what? Forget it. I'll just do some running on the road. I won't bother going to the gym. No. Fear can really disguise itself as this practicality. So, you might be telling yourself right now that it's not the right time for you to start something. It's not the right time for you to write something, to film a short film, to film a showreel scene. It's not the right time to write to an agent or look for a new agent. It's not the right time to tweet that casting director or put your showreel out there. You've got to be really honest with yourself, really, really, really honest with yourself and just say, is that the truth? Or is this just fear masquerading as practicality? Shannon says, I find fear always hits me in auditions. Okay, well, we can talk about that after this, Shannon, maybe explore that. That's interesting. You have to let us know. But again, some of these points that I'm talking about will actually help you with that as well. So that's the first thing. It's accepting it. We just don't want to accept it because fear in society is seemed as a weakness and it's seemed as something that, it's almost like social media has very much enabled this perfect looking life that's very much kind of unobtainable, and it's made normal and average like undesirable, which is crazy. It's almost like, no, how many positive like quotes do you see every day, around fear, and as if it's like no one feels it. It's like, I'm not afraid of anything. It's just nonsense. Of course, we're all afraid of stuff. So you've got to be vulnerable and open to yourself to go, actually, you know what? Is this fear? And it was for me, I think. There's definitely things that I was afraid of picking up this work again and starting writing for fear of lots of different things around being good enough to write. Is it funny? Am I going to put loads of time into it that I could be better putting in something else? Am I going to spend money creating this if I shoot a pilot of this thing I'm writing and then it's no good? Loads and loads of stuff like that. And actually accepting that was the first step of going, well, I can do something about it now. Leah says the chimp paradox is really good at explaining why we all use excuses. Chimp Paradox is a really good book. Something you should read more than once as well, because it's quite... it's not complex necessarily, but it's something that I definitely had to read more than once to fully get, and something you can revisit as well. But yeah, it's the first step. Accept that fear is actually holding you back. 2, this is really important, right? This is almost like the key to the unlock for anything, right? Just become more rational and just let some facts do the talking. So this is something that I genuinely have. Does anyone else have this? Because this is I'm being serious when I write this, right? I put every time I get on a plane, this is true, right? It sounds crazy, but a small part of me thinks I'm going to die. It's not, it's not massive, and it won't stop me getting on a plane. But there is a part of me that goes, right, I have to relinquish all control now. And chances are, as soon as this plane gets more than 50 feet off the ground, something happens, I'm going to die. And I just think every time, oh shit, this could be it. This could be the time. This is probably the time. If there's one of these planes going to go down today, I bet I'm going to be on it. And it's completely irrational when you look at the safety record of aviation, in it, there's so much more. I don't think twice about getting in a car, going for a walk, jumping on a train or a bus or whatever. There's so much more chance of something happening on the road than there is in the air. The safety record of aviation is incredible. But there is, for me, this fear when I get on a plane. I've never been good with it. And I've always, I've always got on the plane. I've never, some of my mates, well, some people I know, end up having to take, Valium and shit and, go to the bar and drink loads to get on a plane. Last thing, I never drink on a plane. And that's the fear thing as well, in a way, because I think if something happens, I need to be really in control. So I would never drink it away. But it does, it honestly... It dictates sometimes, even what I will wear to travel in. I'm like, right, you know what? If there's a problem, right, I need to be really agile. So I'm never going to wear, skinny jeans on a flight, because that just means, I'm not... It sounds so mental, this. And this is what I'm talking about. This is irrational. I'm like, I'm going to wear tracksuit bottoms, because then if I need to, get out, clamber over anything, I'm way, way better doing that dressed like this than I am dressed a different way. It's totally mental. I completely acknowledge it. I know I'm weird, but that's just the truth, right? I know that it's irrational though, right? And if you actually look at what you are afraid of right now, you'll probably realize that you're being completely irrational as well. So many people tell me, so many people email me almost to ask permission, right, to email someone in this industry, whether it's a casting director or a director or a writer or another actor or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, do you think I should write this? Or do you think I should send them this? Or is it weird to send them this? And it's like, you just send it. If you're scared of emailing a casting director for fear of them hating you, what on earth are you planning on writing in your email? It's so mental and irrational that you think somebody would suddenly write you off or would blacklist you or anything for just ultimately sending them, something through that is part of their job. It's part of their job to look after you as an actor and to watch your stuff and see if you're any good. And, you're doing them a favour if you are really good and they didn't know of you. You're doing them a favour by letting them know who you are. It's absolutely part of your job as well. It's their job and it's your job. So have a look. First of all, we acknowledge that it's fear that's stopping us from doing the thing that we want to do. And then we go, right, okay, am I just being completely irrational here? What am I actually afraid of? And in this industry, honestly, at least getting on an aeroplane, there is a remote chance that something bad could happen, right? So yes, I'm a bit mental, but emailing someone in this industry, that's never going to kill you. Literally, you've got nothing to fear there whatsoever, but you are holding back and procrastinating because you're afraid of some kind of rejection or opinion or judgment. And you've already lost by not sending the email anyway because no one knows who you are. So you might as well send it. So that's point number 2, become more rational and just let the facts do the talking. I'll just say, look, have you ever sent an email in your life to anybody and they've hated you for sending it? Unless it was like a breakup email or something to an ex or something a bit weird. But yeah, there is no issue. Kerry says her fear is not getting a reply. That's just tiniest thing. Honestly, what are you afraid of there, Kerry? Screw that. That's insane. Absolutely. Number 3, follow your intuition. This is what I always come back to time and time again. If it scares you, and I don't mean you're doing something reckless, you should probably do it, right? Your guts, and I've known this for years, and this is where I was like, why the hell have I been writing this thing off for so long? Your gut already knows what you should do. Listen to it, please, right? If your intuition keeps nagging at you to go for something, and fear is the only thing holding you back, then it is time. It's time to do this. Make a decision within the hour, right now, and start, okay? Momentum will build, and it's going to help you smash through that wall of fear anyway. I wrote this thing 8 years ago with my brother. We wrote 2 of the 6 episodes, and we planned all 6 episodes, character breakdowns. We worked on it for ages. And over the years, the amount of times I have been on the phone to him, and one of us has said, you know what, mate, yeah, I just really want to write, I'm not going to give the title away yet. And I can't, I don't know how many times, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens, when he's maybe not been happy in his job, he's gone, oh, mate, I just want to write, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, no, we should definitely do that. That's all I want to do. I mean, like, how many more times did we want to deny ourselves it before we went, we should definitely do this? So if there's something in your life that you keep coming back to, that something keeps nagging you, this is the thing, for a lot of people, just to even start acting. You might have wanted to do it. I did a great podcast that's coming out on the 1st of November with star of Ken Loach's brand new film called Sorry We Missed You. A guy called Chris Hitchin, incredible actor. And it's an international cinema release. It's supposed to be Ken's best work. And I did a great podcast and vlog just last week with Chris. And when he was a kid, he really wanted to act, and he was a dancer as well. And he got bullied at school for it. Like all the kids at school were like, oh, you're gay. Oh, to the point where he's just like, I just didn't do it, mate. He ended up being a plumber. And he's come back to it like acting. He doesn't do any dancing or anything, although he is really good. Dances a bit on the vlog. He's come back to it many, many years later, multiple times, kept dropping out. The industry kept dragging him back in, kept dropping out. Industry kept dragging him back in. And now he's just, landed this huge role. It's massive. It doesn't get bigger than that. He could retire now and go, there you go, done it. I've basically starred in a massive cinema release across the globe. I've done it. There you go, done. And it's because his intuition, his gut knew what he wanted to do when he was 5. Kept coming back to it. And he kept trying to leave, and he kept coming back to it. Trying to leave, kept coming back to it. And it was fear as a kid, and you don't know any better when you're 5 or 6, but it was fear when he was a kid of all these lads taking the mick out of him at school for wanting to dance and act at a time where most people, just did like a manual labourer kind of job. You got a trade as a plumber or a carpenter or whatever. And he allowed fear of that judgment to stop him really doing what he wanted to do. And maybe, it wasn't the right time for him to do it then, and now it certainly is because he's killing it. But if you do keep coming back to something, then it's time. It's just time to do it. It really, really is. Tony says, I just listened to a great podcast talking about acting think and how we create all these gloom and doom scenarios that stop us from taking action. Here's a link. Nice one, Tony. The mindset of an actor. It's interesting, isn't it? I think it's just, it's probably not even, it's not exclusive to just us. It's exclusive to human beings. The 5-second rule is like real in terms of, you have an idea to do something. Within 5 seconds, your brain will begin to talk you out of it because it's just trying to protect you. It's not a bad thing, ultimately, it's just trying to help you. But we don't really live in a society anymore where we need protecting that much, particularly from things, in our industry. This is spot on, says Alison. I wish I'd had the courage years ago. It's got me a TV role and almost got me a part in a feature, only didn't get it because I couldn't do the dates. That job my agent didn't sub me for. It was a direct result of me emailing the casting director. So there you go, Alison. Had you not had the guts, if you'd allowed fear to stop you from emailing the casting director, you wouldn't have got the opportunity. And if you'd allowed fear to rule you your entire life, and never go after acting, then you wouldn't have, you would never have done any of that stuff. You wouldn't have had any roles on TV. Matthew says, being scammed is my biggest fear, but I've learned how to deal with that. Yeah, so Matt, I remember you messaged me about that, mate. So you got scammed from some acting class thing online or something like that. You've learned from that now, mate. There's no failures in life. There's just outcomes. Sometimes you don't always get the outcome you want, but if you learn from it, then you succeed in. So you've just got to don't go forward with the fear of being scammed. It just means you're now going to do due diligence on everything. And I say it to everybody, even before signing up to actonthis.tv, the website that I run. I mean, it's the most bona fide site in the land. We just need to look at the guests that I have on that site. The biggest casting directors in the industry are not going to associate themselves with a site that's dodgy. But for people who clap eyes on me for the first time, never heard of me or what I do, I'm always like, listen, go and do some research. If you're not sure, go on my IMDb. Go in the Facebook group, ask other people. Hopefully you will only, people will only say nice things about me. But yeah, you just know now, you'll never get scammed again, Matt. You don't need to be afraid of it because you actually, you've learned from that. Alan says, see, I thought about this not getting a reply thing, but I email a lot of casting directors. Can you imagine how clogged up your inbox would get if they all sent an email saying, thanks, I'll keep you in mind. Hey, Alan, it's a good way to look at it. Definitely. And you know what, when you do send an email out, even if you don't get a reply, I can't tell you the amount of times where, anywhere from kind of 3 weeks to 3 months to 6 months later, even a year down the line, something has come up as a result of me sending that email, and I never got a reply. So I didn't know it was going to be like that. So, just send them, forget about it, and then work on, reaching out to other people just constantly. And this comes into point 5 in a minute. You should constantly be reaching out, networking with people in this industry, and just not asking for stuff, or not just emailing all the time to ask for things for you, but just building relationships, giving value to other people, because that comes into point 5 that I'll mention in a sec. But yeah, follow your intuition. If there's something that you cannot get out of your head, it means you really want to do it. So you've just got to do it. Rach is in the house. All right, Rach. Patrick's just joined. John Bullich is here as well. Andrew Connor's in the house as well. Bobby says email on a Friday. Yeah, I always say that if you want something, because people are in really good moods on a Friday, generally before lunchtime though, because people finish early on a lunchtime on a Friday, or they go to the pub at lunch and they don't quite get into work afterwards. If you need something, or you want to get somebody on a good day, email like generally 10, 11 o'clock on a Friday morning. You are more than likely to get a positive response. That's my experience of life anyway. I always do that. If I want a favour, Friday mornings are good because people are happy it's Friday and they're looking forward to the weekend. Point number 4, this is critical. Once you've committed, you must now hit it head on, okay? So you're going to feel good that you've committed to it, and sometimes that for some people is enough. It's the equivalent of buying the gym membership and not using it. They're like, yes, I've committed. I've finally decided I'm going to do it. And sometimes that's enough. They feel good about that. That's enough for them. They don't then carry on. And so once you've decided that this thing needs your time and attention, attack it head on. Devise a plan of action and stick to it, right? And you don't need to be able to see every step, okay? You just need to see step 1, and the rest will follow. I promise you, once you step on step 1, step 2 will appear, okay? And you'll see what that is. And the same, when you step onto step 2, step 3 will appear. You might not be able to see step 3 whilst you're on step 1, right? Don't focus on 3. Focus on 1. Get through that, and 2 will appear. And just keep going, keep going, and keep going. You'll also, this is interesting as well, you'll quickly see why you should have started this ages ago. Who else has done that? Barbara from the US. All right, Barbara, thanks for joining us tonight. Well, daytime for you. Appreciate you being here. Who's had a fear of something, of doing something, done it, and then gone, oh my God, why didn't I do this years ago? I've so many. Buying this apartment I am sat in right now last year was just another example of this. So many things in my life I've been afraid of. I've faced that fear. I've done it, and I've gone, oh my God, why didn't I just do that like 2 years ago? Honestly, I remember literally throwing every single penny I had into this apartment last year, and then lying in bed going, I have no money. Literally, I am almost starting again from scratch. And then 2 months go by, you realise the world hasn't fallen down around your ears. You can handle the outgoings. You're building money back up, and you go, dickhead, why didn't you just do that 2 years ago when you had the opportunity? You could have bought the flat for £60,000 less. Because house prices around here have just gone mental. But yeah, Kerry says, yeah. Honestly, this is it. So whatever it is, that thing that you're holding back on now, I promise you, if you just start it this week, it's only Monday, start it, get the ball rolling by Friday. Come Friday in the weekend, you're going to turn around and go, bloody hell, what was I even afraid of? And then you'll be on to the next thing that's scaring you, and you'll realise you should probably do that as well. So that's number 4. Once you've committed, you must now hit it head on. Number 5, very, very important, but there's a caveat to this. Don't be afraid to seek out help and call on those, if you can, you might not always be able to do this, who have already achieved it, right? So asking for help is a strength. And it's something that I never used to be very good at, because I always used to, even to the point, I think I got this off my dad. I remember, bless him, I remember us driving as kids, not me driving with my dad and my mum and my brother on holiday. We always had to go on holiday, generally to Cornwall in the UK, because my mum was petrified of any flying things like wasps and bees, so we were never allowed to go abroad. There's probably a good reason, because I'd have been afraid of dying on the aeroplane anyway, like we realised before. But we always used to have to go to Cornwall. Now, we'd stay in different hotels all around Cornwall each year, and my dad would never, ever, ever ask for directions. Was anybody else's dad like that? It's maybe a man thing, because my mum would always be like, Hughie. My dad's name is Hugh, by the way, Hugh Grant, not even joking. Not even kidding. It was the original Hugh Grant. It's like, Hughie, just ask somebody. And he's like, no, I'm not. He's Scottish. I'm not asking anybody. And It's just ridiculous. We could have got to our destination like hours sometimes before we actually got there, because this is back in the day where sat-nav did not exist. We had an A to Z. My mum can't see. We've got this eye condition that runs in the family, so my mum can't see. My eyesight was terrible for close-up stuff. Needed glasses for everything. So is my brothers. We couldn't read the A to Z. My dad was the only one who could bloody read it. He had to drive. I mean, it was an absolute disaster. Let's have a look. Amy says, yeah, my dad. Definitely a man thing, says Caroline. Cy Barton's in the house. Here we are, Cy. Good to see you, mate. It's a man thing, says Janet. But yeah, and that's because like my dad wouldn't ask for help. So I think I've got a little bit of that from him as well. Like so many times, you know, I'd be like, no, I will do all of this on my own. I will figure it out. You know, if there's something in a shop, in a supermarket that I want, even today a little bit, I challenge myself and go and find it yourself. Come on, you can find this. Where's the tartar sauce? Because you want some fish finger wraps. Oh, look, it's not next to the tomato sauce. Where is it? Oh, no, that's mayonnaise. It took me at least 10 minutes to find it in Sainsbury's the other day. I got it, but if I'd just asked the sales assistant, and I walked past about 3, they could have took it to me straight away, could have took me to it. So I know I've still got this inside of me. But, yeah, asking for help is a strength when you're trying to achieve something, you know, particularly something big in your life and your career, right? If you know someone, and this isn't always possible, but if you do know someone who has already achieved what you are aiming for, just ask them for some help or advice, you know. But this is the caveat, right? And this is really, really important. Otherwise, people will just tell you to do one. People are way more likely to help if they see you are already working hard, though, right? You have to put in a significant amount of effort on your own before you can then reach out and ask for help. Because people will just be like, look, you know, I've got my own shit going on. You know, if they see you working really hard, they're way more likely to respect that. Don't expect anybody else to do the work for you. Really, really, really important. You've got to put the hustle in yourself. And if you can show people and prove to people that you're doing it, you know, if you email somebody, you're like, hey, listen, I'm looking to create this thing, or I'm looking to, you know, write this thing, and I'm stuck on this part of it, but I've already, you know, we've already written, you know, the 3/4 of this episode, and, you know, I just really need a writer to look over this. You're a writer, you know, you could reach out to somebody who's, you know, well established as a writer. I just need you to look at, you know, this one scene, but they can see that you've actually, you know, done a shitload of work yourself, and they can be impressed by that. Way, way, way more likely to help you. I only know now I can get the guests that I can get on Acts on This because I've put in 8 years of work into the website, and when people can see, you know, like the vlog, you know, we get some really cool people on the vlog as well. YouTube.com/WatchRoss. But initially, you know, we had to do 6 months of that vlog every single week when no one was watching. And still not loads of people watch. You know, only a few hundred people watch, but we get better and better guests on all the time because people can see the consistency's there. We're hustling every week. We're putting out an episode every week, whether one person's watching it or 1,000 or 10,000. Not that I don't think 10,000 people have watched it yet. But you've got to prove to people that you are putting the work in. Otherwise, people will just be like, why on earth do you want, you know, I'm not doing it for you. Shannon says, I don't like asking for help, just think I'm being a nuisance, something I need to work on. Yeah, again, if you're putting the work in, though, and your ask is pure, Shannon, as in, like, you know, you really have tried, but now you just need some help, it's all right. I mean, it's the only way, innit? That's the only way you can do it. You know, it's like, I think my teachers would say to me, you know, I'd go, oh, I don't understand this. And they'd be like, well, go and sit down for 5 minutes, have another look at it, you know, and if you're still stuck, then come back and see me. And a lot of the time, you know, you might solve it yourself, or you'd get, you know, a real way onto solving it, and then your teacher would just help you, you know, with the last bit of it. It's just a bit like that. You know, you've got to put the work in yourself, but then, you know, if you are hitting a brick wall and still, you know, a couple of days go by and you can't get past it, there's nothing wrong with asking for help at all, whatsoever. And people will generally as well be kind of like, you know, it's quite nice to be asked for help sometimes, as long as it's not on basic shit. The only thing that annoys me is, like, you know, there's 200 hours worth of podcasts on actsonthis.tv for actors with the biggest casting directors, agents, actors, writers, producers. And in most of the interviews, we cover quite similar questions sometimes. So, you know, I'll go through every casting director's casting process, what they like to receive from actors, what they don't like to receive from actors via email, even down to, like, I remember, like, me and Andy Pryor, he cast Doctor Who and all the Russell T Davies' stuff, Gentleman Jack, you know, big stuff. And, you know, me and him sat down and we even started talking about, like, what should an actor write in the subject line of an email to you? And we go through all that, and I spend all this time, hours and hours and hours, editing it and putting it up on the site and telling everyone about it. And then people email me the same questions all the time. And I'm like, if you just go and listen to it, I can't listen to it for you. You know, I've created all this content. If you just go and listen to this, and it's not hard, just put your headphones in and wash the pots or do whatever you've got to do. All the answers are there. But, you know, or if I told them to do something and then they email me again and I said, have you done that thing? It's like, oh, no, not yet. That's the only time when people are asking for help, it gets annoying. When it's like all the information's there for you. I can't read it for you. I can't listen to it for you. I can't act on it for you. It's all there. But, you know, as long as you are putting the work in and you're showing people that, people will, you know, are almost flattered that you've asked them for their help because it's like, okay, it's nice to be able to help people, isn't it? I'm either folk for help, says Michelle, most of whom are on this chat. I do work hard myself, though, I promise. Tony says, such a solid point. I heard a great analogy. People are more likely to help someone stranded in a broken car when they see them pushing. Oh, this is great, Tony. This is exactly it. This is perfect, mate. People are more likely to help someone stranded in a broken car when they see them pushing the car, but not so much when they're sitting in it and waiting. That is absolutely freaking perfect. Your career might not be where you want it to go, but if you are seen pushing it, other people are much more likely to help you. If you're sat on your ass crying about it, bullshitting yourself that, you know, that you're being practical when you're not, you're just allowing fear to dress itself up as that practicality. And you're whinging about stuff and you're saying how unfair it is, no one's going to help you. I hate that. Literally I've got no time for people who are like that. No time for people who complain. So yeah, push your career. Get out. If it's broken right now and the engine's not moving, get out and start pushing it. Me and Tony will help you push it. Harry says, this is where the phrase making your own luck comes in. Absolutely, man. Alex Hewitt's just joined us. All right, Alex, hope you're good, mate. I don't mind helping people, but they need to look like they are bothered, says Janet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everybody agrees, definitely. So they're the 5 points. Let's just recap. I'm gonna end on a quote and play this video. But one, right? If fear, and you've got to be honest with yourself, right? Because I just know, and I know this because it is in my life. I promise you, I don't care what level you're at. There is a next level for you to go to, and generally speaking, it's only fear that is stopping you from getting there, right? One, you've got to accept it. You've got to accept that fear is actually the thing that's holding you back. And stop bullshitting you that it's time and money and it's, you know, circumstances, or it's not the right time for me right now, or that never, ever, ever going to be the right time to do anything. Stop lying to yourself. There will be fear holding you back. Two, become rational about it. Let the facts do the talking, okay? The whole analogy of me thinking I'm going to die every time I get on a plane is so irrational. It's ridiculous, okay? If you're scared of, you know, if you're scared of anything really, but like doing something that there's a high likelihood of death, I can really appreciate the fact you're going to be scared. If I said, right, okay, you're going to go and tightrope walk between, you know, two skyscrapers with no safety harness. Be afraid. That's perfectly fine. Nothing in this acting industry, if you get rejected, if people don't like you, if they don't think your work's very good, any of those things, never going to kill you. Never, ever, 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 ever going to kill you, right? There's no point in being afraid of it. It's just pointless. But, you know, get rational. Have a look at what you're actually afraid of. What is the worst thing that can happen? Because it's not going to be that bad. 3, follow your intuition. If it scares you, you should probably do it. And if you keep coming back to it, if your intuition is nagging at you to go for something and fear is the only thing holding you back, it's definitely time to do it this week. Starting now, 23rd of September, 2019, whenever you're listening or watching this. 4, once you've committed though, the minute you've made that decision, because your brain will try and talk you out of it, the second you've committed, your brain is going to say, no, Andy, no, Alex, no, who else on here? John. No. Don't do it. What if you waste money? What if you get hurt? What if your pride gets hurt? What if you look stupid? What if it doesn't work? What if you fail? Bullshit. It's going to try and do that almost instantly within like 5 seconds of you going, no, that's it, I'm going to do it. So hit it head on. Devise a plan, stick to it, and start. You must start now. Step 1, now. Do it. And then step 2 will appear. You don't need to see step 2 just yet. And you will realise you should have started this ages ago once you do that. And then 5, don't be afraid to seek out help. Once you've started, you've got momentum, you're doing the work yourself, and you're getting somewhere, it's at that point you can then, you know, ask other people for help. If you ask them to help before that, likelihood is they're going to go, haven't got time, I'm seeing you putting no effort, I'm not doing it for you, why should I help you? And I've got my own shit going on. That's just how we are as human beings. That's just life, okay? So you should never be afraid of asking for help. I want to finish on a couple of things. I put in my experience, the only way to get over your fear, and it's just my experience, this isn't like, I don't think there's any theory around this, nothing scientific. It's just a start, though. It really is. If you don't start, you're destined to live a life of regrets. You just are. And right now, for so many of us, I think probably, you know what? If you're under 40, you probably feel you've got like forever to live. I'm 37, right? If I'm not careful sometimes, I still feel like I'm about 21. And I feel like I've got all the time in the world. And it's only occasionally I catch myself and go, shit, Ross, like you're really like quite close to 40, which is still dead young. But, it's like a proper grown-up, innit? It's like I'm getting on to be to be a real adult now, right? Can't keep fucking about forever, right? You just can't. And I don't want to get to 80 and regret that I've just wasted 40 years of my life allowing fear to rule me. I think if you're probably, a bit older, maybe you're over 50, you're over 60, you may be more aware of that right now. But still, you've got so much time left on the clock. You don't want to use the next 20 years, 30 years living in fear and then go like, oh my God, like that is it now. My actual only opportunity to do this has gone. And honestly, do you know what? That scares me. The fear of that is far greater for me than the fear of ever being rejected or losing or not getting the outcome that I want. I told you, didn't I? So there's a lot of people here who knew Eric James Dean, an actor in the community who unfortunately passed away last month. It was a huge shock to me, not as someone as close to me as that passed away, probably since my dad died in like 2006. And there was just a moment when I was laying in bed, I swear to God, and it was just a moment, honestly, it's very, very bizarre, about 5 seconds of utter panic. And it was, holy shit, at some point, I think I just felt my heart beat. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, one day that's going to stop. And I just had this thing of going, oh my God, life is real. If I am not doing what I want to do today, or I'm not at least, striving to achieve the things that I want to achieve, this is only going one way. This is not a game. This is not a rehearsal. I have only got one shot at this. And sometimes it just takes, a big shock like that to actually give you a kick up the arse to go, what am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of somebody judging me or not liking me or, not reading my email or not replying or not, I've told you on many broadcasts, I fucking love being underestimated. I love rejection in a way. I love no. Not all the time, but a lot of occasions it makes me fight harder. Just having a conversation with somebody today over text and voice notes going, I actually really enjoy it, that I've been told no recently. Because it makes me go, you know what, screw you all, I'll do it anyway. So yeah, one of the biggest fears people have is the fear of judgment, which is the most insane fear of all when you think about it. F other people's opinions, right? If your heart is pure, listen to it and just go for it this week. As long as, the thing you are trying to achieve is not hurting anybody, it's legitimate, it's something that you think is going to, make people's lives better for having done it, it's going to impact people positively, it's going to impact you, it's going to impact your family positively. Who gives a shit if someone doesn't agree with you or their opinion is not aligned with yours? Who are they to say that, what is good? When it comes to creativity, and in terms of everyone on here is generally a creative and you're going to be making your own work, shooting your own films, writing your own scripts, who's to say what's good or not? This annoys me sometimes. Who's to say the Emmys last night? Who's to say, that the people who won were any better than the people who didn't? Because they're not. Let's all have a little clap, give you a metal statue, and make you feel like, you're better than everyone else in the room. It's bullshit, really. And a lot of them, are voted by people within certain organisations. They're not all public votes. There was a big upset at the BAFTAs, wasn't there, in 2012? I remember Eddie Redmayne was up against Adam Deacon, Chris Hemsworth, and Tom Hiddleston. Three incredibly successful Hollywood men now. And Adam Deacon was just this guy off Council Estate doing incredible comedy. Hugely talented guy. Loved his stuff. And it was the public vote. It was the Orange Wednesdays back in the day when they did Orange Wednesdays. The Orange Wednesdays, people's vote at the BAFTAs. Adam won. The look on Harvey Weinstein's face when Adam won was just absolute disgust because he was convinced it was going to be, Tom or Chris or Eddie who was going to win. And because that was a public vote. And I love that, like ultimately the market does get to decide, I guess, in terms of, who's to say your stuff's good or not. If enough people like it, then I guess it's good. If not, then, you might like it. It doesn't matter. You should still make it anyway, is my point. If no one likes it but you, it doesn't matter. You'll just feel better for having made it than having not, and taking it to the grave with you. It's not good. Matt says, I use a sleep hypnosis session to help me overcome fear. Interesting, Matt. Never done anything like that. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one, says Paul. They are that. Absolutely, Paul. Definitely. There's loads of comments here. Tony says, exactly, it's all subjective. For the record, I want to be subjectively popular too, but I recognise how silly it is. A friend of mine was up for Emmy consideration but didn't get the nomination. It was likely due to politics. There's a load of politics involved in awards ceremonies. You just can't take them too seriously. I mean, they're great. He doesn't want to win something, but it doesn't mean that you should feel like shit if you don't. It doesn't make you any less or your work, any less if you don't get an award. I'll make up an act on this awards ceremony. I'll give you all the trophy if that's what you want. You can all have one. We'll make everybody have a trophy. Listen, I'm going to, I've got a quote and then I'm going to play a video for you. This quote is great. Zig Ziglar, great personal development. The Ziglar family, huge family on personal development. Brilliant people. He said, Zig's no longer with us, but he said, with integrity, you have nothing to fear since you have nothing to hide. I love this. With integrity, you will do the right thing, so you will have no guilt. So that basically means, if you have integrity and you want to create a film because you think you're interested in it, it's the right thing for you to do, you love it, and you're doing it for the love of it, do it. Who gives a shit if people don't like it? Doesn't matter. You absolutely, should have no fear of people's judgment if you have integrity and your heart is pure. Go and fricking do what you want. So I'm going to be back next Monday, 9 p.m. with something else. I don't know. It's going to be something obviously related to whatever's gone on in my life that week. But fear is just something that I have absolutely noticed cropping up in my life over the last couple of weeks about doing certain things in my life. And I've gone, no, you know what? Let's take control of this. And I know that's going to be that's going to be the case for a lot of you guys on here. Now, Gary Vaynerchuk put a video out today on decision making. It's a Gary V original. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to play this out for you now. I hope I don't get some copyright sting or something for this. I want to play it because, and this is integrity, right? I want to play it because I know it's going to impact you all, and you might not see it otherwise. I don't know if you follow Gary or you follow his work. He's an entrepreneur, puts a lot of content out for business owners, but as an actor, you are a business anyway. So even if you don't, think you've got a business, you have really. I'm going to play this video for you now. It's only 5 minutes, and this is going to be, and then we'll finish after that. I won't come back on camera because I want the punchline to hit you, and I want you to think about it hard. And it's ultimately about decision making. And a lot of you right now, because I include myself in this as well. Every time I say you, by the way, I mean me as well. When I always go, all you right now might be thinking this. It's really me as well. Sometimes you think you've got a this or that decision to make. I could do this or I could do that. And you don't know which one to take. And then you take one. And then what you end up doing is not fully enjoying this decision because you start thinking about, oh, maybe I should have made the other one. And Gary's point in this whole video is actually when you make a decision, let everything else to do with the other side of that go, because there is no way of you ever knowing what the outcome would have been had you made that other decision. And it's actually really liberating. It's really comforting when you do this. I don't know about you, but I do this sometimes as well. There was someone that rang me the other day. We're having a bit of a meltdown because they'd burst a tyre on their car. It was very, very expensive, and they were kind of stranded. And they were like, "Oh, just need a bit of positivity. You need to talk to me." And I said, "Listen, we need to look at, don't think about what would have happened if you didn't." So they're like, "Oh, if I hadn't have done this, I'd have been in this place by now, and I'd already been there and had this meeting, and that would have been good." It's like, no, how about if you hadn't burst your tyre, you'd have ended up on a different stretch of the road at a different time, you'd have had a car crash and you'd be dead by now. I know it's like proper bad, but so many times I think to myself, no, you know what, I missed that train, and that was supposed to happen, because had I actually got that train, yeah, I might be annoyed at the moment, but had I actually got that, what would have happened? What's the alternative? The alternative is I got it, and then maybe I'd have been crossing the road at a different time, I'd have been hit by a bus. I believe in shit like that. It could happen. So if you have a decision to make it, and then forget about the alternative, because there is no way of you ever knowing what the alternative is. And Gary explains it quite succinctly in this. It's quite a dramatic video, but I want to end on this. Massively appreciate you all being here. Come and join the site. If you're an actor and you're watching for the first time, or you're listening for the first time, actonthis.tv. Come and get your membership. It'll be the best thing you do for your acting career. I sit down every week with a top actor, agent, casting director, writer, producer, exec, somebody in the acting industry, high up in TV, and we sit down and have a great discussion around success, what it means, how you can, expedite your success within the industry. Very honest, open, vulnerable chats. Talk a lot about fear, things that have stopped, my guests from doing the things that they, want to do and now have done, or things that they want to go on to do. They're incredible. They're a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes long. There's 200 hours worth on the website right now. So do get over there at actonthis.tv. You guys are already members. It would mean the absolute freaking world if you could shout a bit about the site for me. I want to put like a little testimonial video together for the homepage. Again, it's just to show people that it's legit and they can trust me. If people would be prepared to, shoot a 1 minute testimonial on their phone, and just send it me, just what you think about actonthis.tv, how it's helped you, if any of the interviews have enabled you to take some action you wouldn't have taken that's led to an opportunity. I'd love to feature you in that video. Or if not, if you don't want to do that, just a tweet would mean the world. Just any actors who you think would benefit from this community, who need a bit of a boost, who need to feel part of something and supported and want access to literally the biggest names in the industry. No, there's no other place offering this. Just send them actonthis.tv. And if you're not a member yet, please come and check it out. The more I can grow the community, ultimately, the more podcasts I can do for you. Right now we get sometimes one a week, sometimes one every 10 days. It's at least 3 a month though, sometimes 4 a month. But I'd love to up that. But obviously, I need more people to join. I need, the more revenue I've got, the more, outlay I can spend on editing and getting other people involved. So would love that. It would mean the world if you, could tell people about it. That would be awesome. I'm happy to do this, Ross. I'm currently including Acts on This on my Insta post. You are, Patrick, and I see your Insta post, mate. Appreciate you. Tag Acts on This TV. So it's at Acts on This TV. I'm at Ross A. Grant on Insta and on Twitter. Tag me in your stuff. It mean the world. I want to see what everybody's doing. But have a listen to Gary now. I'll have a little watch of this. I know this will get you fired up. And let's go this week. Overcome our fears and really go after what we want. I will catch up with you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, bye for now.
The problem is 98% of people are sitting on 50-50 their whole fucking life, which means they're 0-0. So when you're 50-50, you get 1 day. And anything else is you're just fucking sitting and bullshitting. So fucking flip a coin to pick the one and never look back.
Anybody out there? I have a big life decision to make. Between 2 choices. How do I know which way to go?
You'll never know what the alternative would have been. You pick one and you never, ever, ever even consider to look back.
Can you give any quick piece of advice?
What should I do?
I don't know which one to pick.
Which one should I do? So what should we do, Gary Vee?
What should I do?
What should people do?
Until you go through it, you won't know. I always play this out. Let's say when you go to heaven, they can show you what would have happened, because that's the only way you'd ever see it. Let's just say. What people don't understand is, oh, you made the wrong call. You should have went to grad school instead of that opportunity, or this company instead of that company. But you'll never believe it. You should have went to Vaynermedia, and it was perfect. And you rose like a phoenix, and you were the head of all sound, and everything went great. But then you had to go to Virginia on business, and you got hit by a car and you died at 31. That's life. I passed on Uber as an investor twice in the beginning. If I did my normal $25,000, $50,000 check, I would have made $400 million. Which means I might have went to China for a keynote 2 years ago, which means I could have got hit by a fucking bus. I really believe in that shit. You just don't know. You think you know, but that is not how life works. So, to like look at two ideas and think you can practically make a good decision is laughable. Literally flip a coin. Just pick the one that feels better right that second and make it about you. Because usually what kids struggle with is the decision they want to do versus the decision that they think they're supposed to do based on the other voices. You know, I think anybody who's listening right now, if you want to set yourself up for success, ask yourself how much risk you've taken in the first 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years of your life. You're gonna figure it out by tasting it. Should I eat this cherry? Will I like it? The right strategy is to fucking eat the cherry, right? Moving is important, because you can change the course. You can't overthink it up front.
Right.
Like, you just can't. Like, we're always wrong. A lot of people make the wrong decision. You know, no matter what I say to your question right now, and they're scared, they'll continue to be, they won't put in the work, or they'll be fearful, or whatever it may be, and they'll lose. I mean, a lot of people lose. A lot of people lose. The way to really eliminate fear is by not giving a fuck about anybody's opinion. My losses are mine. I'll deal with them myself. I don't need your 2 cents. You're losing plenty on your own. If you don't give a fuck about what people think, you can do everything. But the quicker you start, the quicker you do. I think people dwell. I think dwelling is the wrong strategy. I don't even respect my losses. I don't even give them the time to teach me anything. I fucking look them in the face and go, fuck you, and I keep going. Think one time for 1 hour, make a decision, and go. I don't want to hear you fucking complaining about it every day. And I mean that. Way too many of you dwell on your losses. It's holding you back. Too many people make a decision and then cry about their decision every fucking second. You made a fucking decision, own it, live it, sleep in that bed, shit's over. You lost. Move the fuck on. Literally flip a coin. Guys, the only thing I'm hedging against is regret. That's what you need to be careful of. Regret's scary. Regret. And that's what most people do. They build a life that leads to regret. Nobody old and about to die talks about what they did. They talk about what they didn't do. And you're in the best spot right now. You're in the best spot you'll ever be. Straight up. This is the time to be most thoughtful. But everybody wants you to figure out your life now. Your parents don't have their lives figured out. This is the time to taste and put yourself in good positions. You can do everything wrong for the next 10 years of your life and be young as fuck. And have unlimited time to do anything you want.
Thank you, Gary. Now I know which way to go. By the way, it was tails.